Hi, my name is Zhizhi and today we are going to talk about my first year of knitting and my plans for this year. And I know it's March, it's kind of late to talk about the last year, but I decided that it's better later than never and there is no so much to talk about anyways. My first year of knitting wasn't the most successful one, wasn't the most productive one, but it was very stressful and I almost quit learning how to knit actually. I almost dropped that hobby. There are several reasons why my experience with knitting didn't start well. First of all, it's the reason why I started to learn how to knit. I actually didn't take this hobby seriously and I just wanted to have something that I can do instead of watching into my phone while I was binge watching TV shows and YouTube. And that was a mistake because knitting, especially at the beginning, requires your full attention, and I was trying to knit as quick as possible while trying to pay attention to the plot of the TV show at the same time, so it didn't work well. I lose stitches, I accidentally add some stitches and had to unravel a lot. When I realized that I actually can't do both things at the same time, it was a bit disappointing. Because as I said, I didn't want to find a new hobby, I wanted to find a replacement for my phone. But by that time I've already invested into some tools and I got a bit stubborn. I decided that I already spent some money. Why can't I learn how to knit? It's not that difficult, right? Well, spoilers, it is. It is. It's not very difficult to actually knit and purl. For me, the most difficult part is to pay attention. I may lose stitches even if I look just on my needles. And another difficult part is that you have to be prepared to unravel hours of your work. So, yeah. The funny thing is that the more I unravel, the more stubborn I become. Cooper, say hi. And eventually I fell in love with knitting. But last year wasn't the first year of knitting only. I also wanted to learn how to crochet. Crocheting was very easy for me. I don't know, it was very intuitive and I love both. Now I prefer to have one knitting project and one crochet project. So now I'm going to show you things that I knitted and crocheted last year. I want to prepare you that there are not so many things. I hope that this year will be more fruitful for me. Let's start with the first item, and I can't find it. Yeah, it was a hat. It was a knitted hat. The main mistake I made while I started to learn how to knit is that I didn't want to do simple things. I didn't want to knit a scarf because I almost never wear scarves. And I didn't want to learn how to knit a hat with stockinette stitch because back then I thought stockinette stitch is very simple, it's very boring. I will not be very motivated to do that. Now stockinette stitch is my favorite technique, but more on this later. I was looking for tutorials on YouTube how to knit a hat, and I found a tutorial on how to knit a brioche hat. It was two-colored hat. I thought that would be a very cool thing to do, and the knitting started with Italian cast on. And I spent several hours trying to cast on the required amount of stitches. Do you remember your first steps when you started to knit? Because for some reason, for many months, I was blind in terms of knitting. I had very, very big problems at actually seeing the stitches. And at the beginning I couldn't even count them properly, so I could count 3 times and get 3 different results. I don't know, is it only my problem but it was a disaster. So you can imagine casting on your first project with Italian cast on. It was terrible. Okay, I cast it on, and then there was very difficult way to start to knit, and I just couldn't do that. So I struggled with that hat for several days. There was no result. I unraveled and unraveled it, and decided that maybe I'll just find another tutorial on another hat, which I did, and it was a success in terms of how easy it was to knit. But the problem was that I heard about gauge swatching, but I thought that, well, it's a hat. What can go wrong with the hat? Well, everything. I finished the hat and it was twice as big as my head. I can't even find this hat. I put it somewhere else. Maybe I'll add a picture of it. The design was interesting, not stuck on a stitch, but of course it wasn't something that I could wear. Oh my god, Cooper, what's wrong? He really wants to eat my mic. I put his blanket here. He really loves this blanket. So my first finished project, could not wear it. And I thought that probably my first year of knitting will be the year of me knitting things that I cannot wear. And actually I got in terms with that. I decided that, okay, I just want to learn how to knit. It doesn't matter if I can wear the things I need. I just buy cheap yarn and try and do mistakes and learn from those mistakes. So my second item that I needed was actually a big success. Let me show you. So it's this top. I don't think I will add the link to the tutorial because first of all it's not in English, second of all I made many changes to the tutorial because I have quite a big bust and the sizes in this tutorial were not very inclusive, and I had to learn how to add darts to the front part. I made many increases that are not in the tutorial, and I actually thought that this top will not fit me well, but surprisingly it did. It has such a great fit on me, but the problem is that I don't wear sleeveless tops, so maybe I'll wear it at home. Another thing that makes this project unwearable for me is the yarn. The yarn was awful. The name of this yarn is Yarn Art Symphony. I'm not sure if you can find it on your online stores, but anyways, don't buy it even if you find it, because look at the, I don't know if you can see, do you see it's a bit ripped, right? Why is that? And even after I washed and blocked it, it still has very uneven structure. Is it because the yarn itself is not even at all? The card said that the yarn is 50% cotton, 50% viscose, and I thought it's a blend, but actually it wasn't. It was a piece of thick cotton. It's not even thread, it was more like a ribbon, then very thin thread of viscose. A very strange combination. I'll show it to you. I just hope I will never come across this type of yarn. So, you see? This is the part with cotton, next goes the part with viscose, and they are not even at all. You can even see the part where they are kind of connected. A very bad choice for a beginner. Very bad choice. The problem wasn't even that the viscose part was very slippery. It wasn't the problem. The problem for me was that because I made mistakes, I had to unravel, and I could not find the stitches from the same row. Can you imagine that? There were so many times when I was trying to unravel my work and was trying to pick one row, but accidentally picked stitches from absolutely different rows. They were not even nearby rows because this viscose part is so small, so tiny. It was very difficult for me. So yeah, and the actual final look of the work is not very pleasant. It looks like I wear it multiple times, and I made one mistake that I continue to make even now. For some reason, when I knit and stock on a stitch, sometimes I just start to purl on the knitting row and knit on the purling row. I had no idea what's happened to me, so here I made a mistake. If you can see, maybe, where is it? Here. If you look closely, that was the part where I made so many increases, and I actually didn't know how to fix this problem with increases, so I decided I just leave it like that. Anyways, the structure of the yarn is uneven, nobody cares. So I'm kind of happy with this top, but I don't wear a top. If I don't wear sleeveless tops, why did I need it? Because I wanted to knit a shoulder piece. I wanted to know how to do that. And you save your time by not knitting sleeves. That was my first finished knitting project. And that's actually it. So I only knitted two things, that damned hat and this top. But I have some crochet pieces I wanted to show. They were not a huge success also, but let me start with those fingerless mittens, so how do you call them? So I used drop alpaca for that. Not a fan of this yarn for crocheting. It was very hard to unravel. I was tearing the thread apart while I was trying to unravel it, and maybe it's because of the stitch, or maybe it's just the way it works. So I have very mixed feelings about those mittens because I wear them a lot. I wear them every time I go outside because I've never had fingerless mittens before, and I kind of like the concept. The problem is that they are not of the same size. I don't know if you can see it, but this mitten is smaller than this one, because I knitted this one first and everything was okay. The mitten was easy to do, but when I started to cast on the second mitten, I could not meet my gauge. I don't know why. It continued to be either too small or too big. At the end, I just gave up and continued to crochet, and the result, this mitten is bigger than the first one. Actually, I don't know how to fix this problem in the future. Maybe I had to cast on both mittens at the same time with two different balls of yarn and just leave one till I finished another. And the funny thing is that the interval between knitting those two was not very big. So I think I finished the first mitten within 3 days. Maybe there was a 1 or 2 days break, and then I started to crochet the second mitten. I have no idea what happened. Now I have fear of knitting or crocheting coupled items like mittens or socks. What if I could not meet the gauge again? Very strange situation. But maybe it's a common one. Let me know in the comments. Have you met this problem or not? So anyways, crocheted mittens. Another item that I crocheted was a terrible one. First of all, I don't like the look of this bag at all. It looks like a cheap, childish thing you do at school if you do some crafting at school. And the stitch itself, the pattern, is very different from what I saw on the tutorial. I'm not sure if it's the cord or not. It's nameless cord. I have no idea where is it from. I just bought one. It didn't have any tags. Actually, the plan was to crochet a phone bag, but I thought that phone bag may be too small, so I decided to crochet a bigger bag. But the shape is very old-fashioned. It doesn't look stylish at all. Maybe on camera it looks better. I'm not sure if I want to frog it, because I have no idea what to do with this quartz. Let's continue. For the whole year, I was trying to crochet a vest with granny stitches. As you can see, it's not finished. Why? Because I hate the look of it. It would be better if I picked only black and white colors. I don't think this color combination looks good on me. I don't know why I picked those colors. As it was my first year of knitting crocheting, I didn't know that actually cotton yarn is very heavy, and when I finally combined all the granny stitches, it weighs a lot and I don't like it. And this vest was supposed to be wearable at summer. I don't think I'll be able to do that. So yeah, I didn't even finish it, and I don't think I'm going to frog all those granny squares. Maybe I pick some of them and do something else with them, but I'm not sure what. Okay, next one. So these are the things that I was working on last year and finished or decided not to finish last year, but there is one item that I was crocheting for the whole year and finished only in January of 2026, and this is this trope sweater, or how do you call it, trope top. I forgot what's the exact name. Look at this. I love it and hate it at the same time. So first of all, I picked the wrong yarn again. The yarn that I picked was much finer than the pattern suggests, and I decided that I'm not going to make swatches, because it was my first crochet project, by the way. I decided that I just make the biggest size, I believe, or was the second biggest size. Anyway, something big enough that will fit me. Well, it kind of worked and kind of didn't. I made this longer, and that's why it fit me on the body part, but I didn't thought about sleeves. The sleeves are a bit narrow. They're supposed to be a bit wider, but again, as I picked up the wrong weight of the yarn. By the way, the suggested hook size was 4, I believe, and I was crocheting with 2.5mm hook. That's why I spent the whole year trying to finish it. Another problem is the neck. This type of neck doesn't fit me well. I'm not sure if I'm going to wear this piece, but I love it anyway. It was a very simple one. There's no increases, no decreases apart from the neck. Everything is straight rectangles, basically, but the look of the stitch is very nice. I think I will try to crochet similar top with different yarn, and with the V-neck, I'll try to find the pattern. Also, I want to find some crochet patterns where you actually do some changes to the structure of the garment so it can fit you better. Because here, yeah, it looks nice, but it's not going to fit you well, as there's only rectangle shape. Let me know in the comments what pattern or pattern designer you suggest. I really want to find a crochet designer who pays attention to the details that make the garment fit you as a glove, so let me know. I think that's it about my last year. Let's talk about this year. First of all, look at this beauty. Maybe on camera it doesn't look very impressive, but in real life, when you touch it, it's so soft. So I sew a bit, and I sewed this Japanese knot bag as my project bag this weekend, actually. Love it. So let's look at my current project. That is Solon. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Cardigan by Moroccan Knit. It looks like this. Very easy project so far. I'm really afraid to jinx it, but I hope it continues like that. So I've already connected back and front parts, and I just have to knit in stockinette stitch till the bottom of this cardigan. Kind of nervous about picking up stitches for the sleeves, because I have no idea how to do that, but we'll see. So far it was very easy. Love the project. Very concise pattern, but very easy for beginner. Well, you have to actually know how to do different types of increases decreases, but overall all the instructions you needed. There was only one step so far that made me confused. So she has instructions like row 1, row 2, row 3. You continue from row 1 to row 3 an amount of times, and because I got used to this type of instructions, I just make row 1, row 2, row 3, and then I realized that she says then you repeat from row 1 to row 3 0 times. It means that I wasn't supposed to knit those rows, and I had to unravel, which is still very stressful for me, but apart from that, so far so good. As I said, for now I pick cheap yarn that is mainly Turkish yarn. So this one is Gazelle wool 115. So it says that it is 100% superwash merino fine wool, 115 meters per 50 grams, and I use 4.5 millimeter needles. I made the gauge. I hope the gauge stays the same for the whole project. It looks a bit small actually. Okay, so she has 7 sizes and I need size 6. I hope it's not too small. So this is the project I want to finish this year. I've already spent 1.5 months for this. So last year my knitting sessions were not very consistent. I could knit for several days, several hours, and then had 1 or 2 months break. This year I decided that I'm going to develop a habit of knitting or crocheting every day. It doesn't matter if I knitted only 3-5 stitches. Usually I knit at least 1 row, but I do it every day for almost 3 months now. So I have my habit tracker and I check every day I knit or crochet. This made my knitting journey much faster. You can say, come on, you made that much for almost 1.5 months, but yeah, I'm not trying to knit too fast because, as I said, I'm prone to losing stitches or adding additional stitches somehow. I have no idea how I do that. If I'm trying to knit quickly, 100% there will be a mistake. I will have to unravel and lose time and progress. So I decided that it's better for me to knit slower, but it won't be that stressful. Yeah. So this is the project I'm working right now. I love this bag. I love this bag. I'll leave the tutorial on how to do this type of bags in the description, but as you can see if you open the tutorial, I made changes. First of all, the bag is big. Second of all, is rectangular, so to say. The thing that you have to bear in mind if you want to sew a bag of your own size and form is the handles. So I divided the total width of my bag into 3 parts, and 1 part for the long handle, 1 part for the short handle, and 1 part for the space in between. This way your bag is more balanced, and also the length of the long handle is twice as long as the length of the short handle. So this way you get quite a balanced look. I added batting inside. It was actually a challenge because all the tutorials on Japanese knot bags suppose that you sew it only with fabric. I didn't want to mess with zippers or cords, buttons. I just want a simple one. The bag that you can close, because my cat loves to play with yarn and I have to have a bag that can be closed, but at the same time it's easy to open, easy to carry. Love it. Okay, next thing that I want to knit this year is a drop shoulder striped sweater, and I want to use these two colors for the stripes. So the name of the yarn is Alize Superlana Maxi. Again, cheap Turkish yarn, but the differences from the Gazelle is that the Gazelle is 100% merino, and this is mostly synthetic yarn. So it's 75% acrylic and 25% wool. Not very good yarn. I'm not sure if I'm going to wear the sweater made of 75% of acrylic, but I want to learn how to knit drop shoulder, and I want to learn how to do stripes. And also why I picked this yarn, because it's quite thick. So the meterage for this yarn is 100 meters per 100 grams. Can you imagine? Quite a thick yarn. I'll probably use 6 or 6.5 millimeter needles for that. I hope I'll be able to finish the sweater in a short amount of time than my Solan cardigan. I forgot to tell you about my current crochet project. So it's this bag. I crocheted with the plant fiber. So it's SB plant fiber. I think I made a mistake. I think this bag is a bit smaller than I want it to be. I should have added at least 2 more elements to the bottom. It's my first experience with this type of yarn. I'm not sure if I like it or not, but I always wanted to have this type of bag in my wardrobe, and I'm sure you have this thing. Last year this type of bags were very popular. I'm not talking about the design, but I mean the fiber itself. So this type of bags were very popular, and you could buy it in every mass market store. But last time I was already crocheting, and every time I found cute bags, I was thinking, but I can crochet it myself. I'm sure you're familiar with this thought. So I didn't buy any, and only this year I decided that I finally want to make one. And I don't know, I look at it, it looks okay, but it doesn't look like something that I'll be proud of. That's actually another question I have. How often are you actually satisfied with items you made yourself? Because I have a feeling that, of course, as a beginner, I make shitty things. My stitches are not the neatest ones, and of course I cannot pick the most sophisticated patterns on Ravelry, but I have a feeling that I pay more attention to the flaws of my own garments than to the garments I buy from the stores. Let me know in the comments. How do you feel about things you make, and how do you feel about them when you've just started? So yeah, how to finish this bag by summer. I'm not sure if I'm going to add some bag inside, cotton or linen one. We'll see. Let's go back to the plans for this year. So I really want to learn how to knit socks. I've tried last year, I failed, but I want to try again, because what I realized that I really like the look of stocking a stitch on smaller size needles. It looks so fine, it feels so soft. Really want to learn how to knit socks. Just plain socks, nothing fancy. Another thing that I want and I had to do is actually learn properly how to make increases and decreases and short rows. What I mean is that there are so many ways to do that, and my friend who knits for many years suggested that I try different ways myself and decide what looks good for me. And later, when you follow any pattern, you just replace the way the pattern designer does those increases and decreases with your own favorite way. Another problem is that actually I cannot see whether that increase is left leaning or right leaning. I need to figure out those details, and for that I have to make little swatches and see exactly what's going on there. Yeah, that's the plan. Another thing that I want to knit this year is hat. I haven't decided what pattern I want to choose yet, but there are some that are quite similar. So the first hat that I saw that I really like is a big fur hat, as far as I remember. So I really like this bulky, chunky designs because slick hats don't fit me well. I really like a bit of a volume around my head. If you've knitted such hats, let me know in the comments what pattern did you choose and why did you like it or didn't like it for some reason. So those are my rough plans for this year. I hope by the end of this year I will allow myself to switch to more expensive yarn. By the way, I didn't know that knitting is actually such a posh hobby, because looking at the prices of this yarn, especially the yarn that are suggested in patterns, oh my god. Can't imagine that I'm spending several hundreds for yarn for one item. Definitely not with my skill level. But maybe in a couple of years I'll be more confident. I'm looking forward to that because knitting and crocheting became part of my life that I don't want to lose. Really enjoy these hobbies. As a person who haven't had hobbies for 30 years, I'm very happy that I found not one but two hobbies at the same time. Hope you enjoyed my chaotic rambling about my not very successful first year. I know that when you see the title, my first year of knitting, you usually expect that there'll be several sweaters, several cardigans, lots and lots of accessories. But it just wasn't my experience. But I hope that this year will be more productive and less stressful for me. And I wish you the same. See you. Bye.